Hi there, beautiful souls. It's been quite a while. Thank you for your patience and sticking around. I have been moving house, and it's moving's always chaotic, but it's had some extra chaos and stresses with it. But hopefully, I will be back here more consistently and regularly now. And I have some new ideas for what to do with this space and what to offer people in the way of research and engagement, although that word is it's gotten definitely overused. But anyway, I'm working on making sure I have the time and space to commit to those things, and then I'll share them with you, probably in an email to subscribers. With that, I think I'll just get into this. So this is A Price Above Rubies. I have a story to share with you. It's a strange turn of phrase, I have a story, or maybe not strange. In cultures all over the world, and once, I imagine, in every culture, stories are sacred. Some you may only tell in certain seasons, others only to people allowed to receive them. Have a story. Like any form of possession and ownership, that concept carries its burdens as well as its gifts. For me, at this moment, I am currently holding a story is closer to the truth. I am currently holding many stories, as are likely you, even stories you're unaware of. Having a story, as in possessing it, claiming ownership of it, is possible too, in the same way it's possible to own seeds or the right to pollute air and water. What are proprietary recipes and black box algorithms and the closed contract details of public-private partnerships, if not claiming ownership over a story? Over the last 6 weeks, I've been moving house, a process full of headaches and financial surprises, the bad kind, but also the reminder of how fortunate I am in friends and family. Many people have helped in many ways, and in such a manner as to make me feel not only grateful, but in some undefinable way integrated within an ecosystem of reciprocity and care that is wider and more linked than I'll ever be able to comprehend. Amidst all that, packing up from one home, living for a while on others' couches, finally moving into another home, the strawberries in the garden I and my extended family share with my ex-husband finally started ripening. Growing food where I live is a time-short endeavor. At best, we get 4 months without an overnight frost, and this year we had a late May snowstorm and days of constant cold rain in June. Right now, my stepmother and I are picking strawberries daily, overflowing containers of berries, so many that we end up filling our freezers with them. So many that my kid and nieces have gotten tired of eating strawberries every day. Even the robins and eastern kingbirds nibbling from the edges of the beds don't count for much of a dent. Can you imagine getting tired of fresh strawberries? Grown under sun and rain and picked warm just as the day brightens and the bees start working among the not yet ripe raspberries. Red all the way through, juicy and sweet, with the tiniest tart bite to remind me, as I pick and eat next to the sweetgrass bed on a quiet morning, of the constant presence of cold where I live, even on hot days. Strawberries, like all food, like all plants and animals, including us, carry the story of where they are from and how they are treated. Fresh fruit has long been, for me, a mark of true wealth. Growing up in Montana in a very poor family, at a time when Montana itself was generally very poor, and the grocery stores more closely reflected our local climate and distance from supply chain hubs, fresh fruit was not something I had much access to. I was fortunate in having a mother who was, and is, an incredible gardener. Having grown up in a farm family herself among wheat and cattle, during my childhood she cultivated a mix of red currants, crab apples, chokecherries, and strawberries, among tomatoes and her knowledge of lesser-known plants like Jerusalem artichokes and edible weeds like lamb's quarters. Alongside staples like powdered milk and Velveeta cheese, stripping red currants from their bushes and eating them by the handful lingers as a memory full-flavored. Some years ago, a post on some social media platform or another prompted one of those interminable online debates, this one about poverty and food access. The post in question was a photo of a food bank with a line about getting some fruit and vegetables in there, which then prompted counterposts about judging people without much money for buying candy. All I could think was how, throughout my childhood and to this day, there has been nothing I find more luxurious than a fresh peach. There is nothing richer, nothing more desirable. Expensive jewelry and gems don't interest me, and new technology only draws my attention out of necessity. I want enough income to live on, but can't imagine coveting a second home somewhere else or a private jet or even new clothes more often than necessary. It all sounds boring. But a fresh peach, perfectly ripe, sweet and flavorful, soaked with the hot sun of eastern Washington state, the best fruit I can get comes from Yakima. Eaten messily while standing in the garden watching bees working the borage and the radishes I let go to flower, that feels like wealth. I had plenty of access to candy and sugar-filled pop growing up, and the ongoing dental bills to prove it. Fresh, ripe, local, and financially accessible fruit was something rare. Can you imagine the most recent fresh strawberry you had? Or imagine it too, I guess. Sorry. Or blueberry, mango, gooseberry, starfruit, apple, peach. Can you taste the story of their growth and husbandry? The soil they drew from, the rain that fell, the hands who picked them, and the other hands packing carefully enough to avoid bruising or crushing. The breath of a robin's wing as he tried for an early morning bite. A fresh strawberry. Even the past few days, when the garden's been glutted with rain and berries rotted on the stem, there's nothing like that flavor. A wealth that cannot be measured, and a story that must be tasted to be known. My father mentioned recently that Moscow, Russia, where he and his wife, both Russian natives, live part of the year, is suddenly full of electric bicycles. Well-strategized drone attacks from Ukraine have taken out a significant percentage of Russian oil storage and refinery capacity, and gas has become hard to find. My stepbrother finally found petrol for his car after traveling well outside the city and waiting 45 minutes in line. Many years ago, I published a personal essay in a literary journal about being pregnant and stranded with my toddler during a heavy, wild snowstorm and coming to terms with the awesome hubris and fragility of building a world where almost everything from food and medications to central heating is dependent on a fossil fuel-powered grid network. As strawberry plants produce, they send out runners, stems that grow new plants. This autumn, my stepmother will clip many of the new runners and replant them in the original strawberry bed, removing the older plants that have gotten leggy and produce fewer berries. We have 3 beds now, from the original 10 plants a friend gifted from his garden, and could expand to more if there were room. This is the strawberry cycle, a seemingly infinite loop of berry abundance that can, if cared for, feed many more people than just my family. As far as I know, no fossil fuel makes more of itself. Oil pockets don't send out runners like strawberries. Coal seams don't try to take over a space with new shoots every year the way the raspberry canes do. Natural gas doesn't reseed with abandon like tomatoes or borage or tobacco. My stepbrother in Russia is, like my mother, an excellent gardener, but he cannot prune gas lines to encourage growth, even if the planet could handle more burning and extraction. And yet he, like most of us, has little choice but dependence on fossil fuels, in a world where those in power have fought every move away from them for decades. Oil grows profit, not life. Strawberries can grow profit too, at least for a few people who own corporate berry farms. They do so at the expense of soil, wildlife, local water, farm workers, customers thousands of miles away who end up paying too much for a disappointing cousin to ripe berries. The farmed bees trucked around to pollinate monocrops, and the berry plants themselves. As I wrote those lines, news came of a drone attack in central Moscow. These things are not unrelated. Vladimir Putin, grasping for empire in senseless violence that has already lasted longer than World War I, world leadership that forever values profit and their own personal monetary wealth over anything that truly nurtures and sustains, anything that truly matters. I lied in the opening line. I don't have a story to tell you here. I have, or hold, an idea for a story that I want all of us to create together. It's a story of abundance versus scarcity, fresh strawberries versus fossil fuels, life versus profit and extraction. It's a story where everyone has access to fresh fruit and nobody needs to wait in line for gas. One where we walk away, somehow and together, from individual striving and fear of scarcity to the wealth that this planet has gifted us for millions of years, humans' entire evolution and beyond, while asking nothing in return except that we learn what care all that life needs from our time, hands, minds, and hearts. We all need money. There's rent, property taxes, electrical bills, medical treatment, shoes, food. Most things require money, and most of us could use more of it. Goodness knows I could. But there are infinite varieties of wealth. Every single one of them is under threat from privatization, from vegetable seeds and fruit plants to our personal connections in our not-so-private lives. They are not, however, lost. The enclosures are not complete. Our shared commons is always within reach, whether it's strawberries feeding multiple families and reproducing themselves, or friends who show up for us in hard times and in unexpected ways. Just yesterday, some friends helped me and my father move some old bookcases into my home, along with the many boxes of books that have been stored in my ex-spouse's garage for the last year. I urged them to snack on strawberries while we worked. The friends, not the books. Imagine books snacking on strawberries. Sorry. My brain works in weird ways. I do have a story to share with you. Many stories. My life is finally, I hope, recalibrating back to a steadiness that will allow me to recenter and focus on the work I do here and the stories I want to find and share. But I don't have or even hold your story. You do. What's your wealth? And in the print version here, I included a very short audio clip I took of one of my favorite birds, which longtime readers will know about, Swainson's thrush. And I finally heard them for the first time this year when I was out on a very short hike near town. I'm going to include it right here at the end of this audio. But they were kind of far off, so I'm not totally sure how well it'll come through, unfortunately. But hopefully you'll be able to hear them, or maybe can turn your volume up a little bit to hear them more. They're really so beautiful. They're one of my favorite birds, and they have one of those just liquid calling trills that feels like magic. So with that, I will leave you with this.